really, really like our guys. Got a really high character group. It's fun to go to work every day. We're only 3 days in. First 2 days you got your pajamas on, so you're just running around in your shorts and t-shirts and put the headgear on, and then did our first day in uppers yesterday, and you start to see how we're going to be. A lot of learning to do, huge learning curve. Trying to establish tempo and pace with this new practice schedule is interesting, and because in essence you really have one more week than you used to have, so that has to come into your thinking, because you obviously want to get the guys all this information, but you don't want to jam it at them too fast that they can't retain. And you actually have a little more time to install, get prepared, and so forth. But you don't want them bored with it either. So you got to keep, you got to kind of keep it going at a reasonable clip, so that they stay engaged and they learn and they participate with great energy. Mostly mentally, they're going to do that physically. So. Good start, first 3 days. Excited about it.
I know you've talked about maintaining the aggressive attacking style of your defense, even with losing so many starters. Realistically, does there have to be some dialing back with so many young guys at all, or is it too early to know?
We really can't tell. I think it's a great question. I'm not trying to dodge it. But regardless of how we're going to go about doing it, because there's several ways to do it, we're going to be aggressive. I mean, that's just the way we play defense. So now we may do that different ways. We may play different concepts. Obviously, you have a system. It needs to be flexible enough so that speed can get on the field, and based on where that speed comes from, positionally, that your package is flexible enough that you can utilize those talents.
Don, in Chicago, Jim was talking about Kwity and Luigi, kind of raving about them on the outside. You mentioned them maybe as outside linebackers, defensive ends. What have you noticed out of those two so far?
Well,
Luigi, Kwity.
I'll give you this. I watched pass rush yesterday. Pretty good. Very good start. Luigi, extremely explosive, comes off the rock. Was really impressed with how well, not only does he come off the rock, but how well Kwity used his hands. And, those guys are very talented guys, as Coach has alluded to. And we're going to give them every opportunity possible to get on the field. In some roles. Now, can they learn it all concept-wise? Probably not. But that doesn't mean they can't contribute and develop confidence and then have their role broaden as we move forward.
Obviously, you're going to have guys compete everywhere, but is corner going to be the most interesting kind of battle for you? Is that what your read is right now? Or?
I think every position is there's battles going on. But, I think the corner thing is paramount in our thinking. Coach Zordich, I have tremendous confidence in his abilities to analyze, provide technique and concept, and I love those guys. I mean, all of those guys have a chance to be good. So, and Coach gave me a, early birthday present or something. But Drake Harris had a nice interception yesterday. So, and I love those guys, when they put their hands out and they're nice and long, and then he goes up and high points the ball. It's fun to see. So hopefully he can continue to take steps, move forward, learn the concept, and play fast, because that's the biggest piece. Okay, I know the concept, but it's like mud, stammering around. You know, it's no quick twitch, move forward, make adjustments, technique fundamentals, play fast, all those things. So, but all of those guys have a chance. Really, really like them all, to be honest. You know, I think Brandon Watson up, you know, and Keith Washington. Then you got the Levert, Hill, David Long. You got the Ben St. Juste. You got Drake. You know, so I mean, it goes on and on. There's a number of guys there, and right now, as you alluded to, we're going to try to find out who the top 2 and really 3 guys are. We're even, you know, looking at Jalen, Kelly Powell, you know, and seeing if he can help us in some of those packages as well, utilizing his coverage skills.
A couple of the players had mentioned this offseason about Khaleke Hudson being potentially off the radar, but potentially one of the best players in college football. Obviously, stepping in big shoes going into Jabril's shoes, but what have you seen out of him, and how likely is that ascent?
Well, I love him. I mean, he's a very physical guy. His learning at that position has been outstanding. And he's competing at a high level. He hasn't played a minute on defense yet. So going from that point to, you know, one of the best players in college football is an extremely high jump. So I'm just very happy with his arrow. You know, some guys' arrow's flat, some guys' arrow's down. His arrow is constantly going up. He's a really coachable guy. He's fun to have in the room. And don't forget, he can play some safety as well. So,
with the corners, can playing aggressive help them quicker because maybe they're putting the onus on the offense instead?
let me ask you this question, okay? So I'm going to cover you. So I'm going to go back here, and then you're going to run all over the place, and I'm going to go cover you. You think that's easy? With all that space on a football field? Or I'm covering you. And I close up and play with my hands, and, you know, up until 2013, I coached corners every year since 1983. The minute you get, you know, and I used to always do this just to see when we started getting into all the press concepts. The minute you said to them, hey, you've got the option. You can go up and play press or you can play off. They'll all immediately go. And players know what they want to do and whether they want to accept the one-on-one challenge or play and let great players run around in space and try to chase them all over the field. I just say that's kind of a common denominator. Guys that, you know, that we're involved with in recruiting, if there's any chink in their armor or if we sense any kind of, you know, that aggressiveness that we're looking for, probably not a good place to come. In honest reality, because we want guys that accept the one-on-one challenge, and you know, that's just me. But you know, that's what we're looking for.
Going back to, you say your team's got a steep learning curve, your defense has a steep learning curve. Does that concern you at all, or is that a good challenge for the defense as a whole? It's a challenge for yourself as a coordinator.
Well, to be honest, it kind of, I don't know if the word's because it energizes you as a coach that you're going in there and guys, you know, you got to teach them a concept. I think that's kind of what we do as teachers. I think the bigger challenge is creating a picture and a vision for what you want the defense to be and then get them to go buy into it. That's the bigger challenge on a year-to-year basis. But in answer to your question, I think when new things are happening every day, guys are coming in going, oh, what am I learning today, Coach? What are we doing today? One of the best players I've ever coached, Kenny Tate, used to come in every morning. What am I doing today? And, you know, we played him one game. We played him, I think, 9 different positions out of the 11. So players love to be challenged. Concept, vision, style of play. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I think just that in itself provides energy for them to come to work every day, bring their lunch pail and go to work.
Right,
Time for one or two more for Coach Brown.
From the outside, we see just one returning starter. Technically, I know there are others. As the guy that coordinates this, is whatever nervousness about that, is that mitigated by the talent, or do you lose sleep over how many new guys you have in new places?
I'll tell you what I'm this is legit now, okay? That's a good question. It's legit. Who's providing the leadership? That's what we're building right now. And I see it, again, I'd be nervous if I saw this. Ooh, nobody. And I think that's starting to happen. Who's going to provide the leadership? Mo Hurst, Mike McCray, Rashawn Gary. That starters thing, we had a lot of guys play last year. Right. Tyreek Cannell played a lot last year. Rashawn Gary played a ton. Mo Hurst, okay, he wasn't a starter. He was just one of the most devastating penetrators inside in college football. Just say it. Brian Monet played a bunch. Chase Winovich was on the field. Goes on and on and on and on. Devin Bush played a lot of football last year. A lot of it on teams, but a lot of it on defense as well. So I'm not as concerned, but who's going to provide that rock that when adversity introduces a man to himself is going to take the group on his back and go? And I think that's starting to develop, and I think the arrow's up on that. That's the bigger piece for me, is when adversity introduces a man to himself, who's going to lead us back into a positive comfort zone? That's mentally. That's the bigger piece.
How much is that front seven going to be able to take some heat off a young secondary, especially early on?
Coach Madison does a great job with the front four. And, Chris Partridge and myself, we're responsible to get these guys to play fast. This is everybody has a job. In the run game, all 11 players are involved in the run. I chase the corners harder than I chase the linebackers in defending the run game. And Coach Zordich and Coach Smith have to get the safeties involved. And in the pass deal, it's the same deal. The back end, as you noted, with the corners questions, have a pass coverage responsibility. But how fast we can get there, that has a direct correlation on if I'm the quarterback going back and I can be pretty good. I'm 62 and I can be pretty good, okay? Well, you go back and all of a sudden it's, that has an impact. So, it all kind of plays together. It's all 11. That's why playing defense is such a big deal. That's where, 11 guys are going to be evaluated and talked about as one defensively. That's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been, and we prepare them for that mentally. That's the way it is.